Poor Marcia's sitting across. She's like, what the hell did I just get myself into? What did I just sign up for? Yeah, if you don't know it, I am DJ Kelly Reverb. That is actually a track I produced. So
nice.
That's why we actually play that at the beginning and the end of
yeah, one time we played like more of it. We like let it play.
We did. But anyway, I am DJ Kelly Reverb, semi-sick, but here. You know, thanks to caffeine and Sudafed.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And then sitting in with me is my lovely coiffed co-host.
I wake up like this.
Dylan Kingston. He does. He's always got that Farrah Fawcett hair. Always
got it going
beautiful.
on.
He doesn't know who
nice.
Farrah Fawcett
I
is.
do. I definitely know who Farrah Fawcett is.
Because I've sent him pictures of Farrah Fawcett when he was, But
Come on, Charlie,
yeah,
thank
so
us
kind of a happy, sad day. This will be our last show here at Frisco at Venture X. So, but
we will rise again.
We will rise again. We're actually moving downtown Dallas. We are moving to Hello Springs studio. But Brett, I want to thank you before we get into the show and everything. But thanks for board opping. It's been nothing but a pleasure.
Not to get mushy, but
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But we're gonna actually take a couple weeks off. And then we will start back on the 7th. But I couldn't think of any way to go out better than to have one, if not the top dog in the game of recovery, homelessness, helping people, like all those things that I like to try to celebrate on the show. We have Marcia Williamson, the CEO of the 24-Hour Club. So
Thank you
welcome.
very much for having me. That was a really nice introduction.
You're right.
I'm going to record that and send it to the board of directors.
it just needs to play anytime you walk into a room.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
The introduction will play. Yeah, I'll be here. And here she is, Marcia Williamson, CEO. Anyway,
That was really good.
And then sitting next to her,
You better build me up.
Yeah, right. Is the poor girl that's married to Dan Nybrand.
That's a fact. Very great. I love that.
But great person. And she was on the show a couple weeks ago. We were doing some 12-step talk with her.
Mm-hmm.
We found out that she was actually alumni of the 24-Hour Club.
That's right.
So I was like, well, why don't we make it like a This Is Your Life, or just have somebody here to speak from experience. And she was gracious enough to oblige, and she is here, and that is Val Nybrand.
Thank you. Hello.
AKA Val the Gal.
Val the
Val
gal.
Well, Dirty
Well, because Dan
and-
the man, Val the gal. So that's where that came from.
Isn't that cute?
Our neighbor actually gave that to us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
that
hey,
was funny.
before we get into it, guys, I want to give props out to our sponsor here real quick, which is summersky.us, and that is summersky.us, 888-857-8857. In case you're wondering why I'm pointing, it's because it's above my head. You just can't see it here. But, they're a great rehab out in lovely Stephenville, Texas. I went there. I got sober. And like I say, if I can do it, you can do it. Trust me.
I love Summer Sky.
Yeah?
I do.
You like, Scott Kelly and the crew out there?
I don't know the current crew.
Okay.
My loved one went there
Okay.
twice. And
All right.
I couldn't say enough good things about it. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And, we did, one time it was in the middle of the summer. It was 104. And
Ooh.
we sat outside in the little field. And I don't know if it's still like that, but it was like it wasn't hot because there were so much good things going on there.
Yeah.
We
No. I love it because, I think places have a tendency to echo their leadership. So, and hey, I'm building you up here.
Please don't.
but no, and I think they have a great crew and they run a good program out there and they really actually care about people. It's
Yes.
not like, number. Okay. Yeah. Next.
Come on, yeah.
Yeah. It's not like that at all. And they actually care. And they, there's some, recidivism that happens with addiction. And, they're more than welcome to work with people and take them back. And it's just a really good family vibe. So anyway, they sponsor the show. So, they're nice enough to sponsor us for over a year now. We've been doing this for a year.
They've been hanging in there tough.
There you go. Hey, so let's get to the good stuff. So, like I was saying earlier, I would go to some of the meetings, and I would always hear this. Oh, I have to go talk to the first blue guy you see on a blue mat at the 24-hour club, and 24-hour club this and 24. And I'm like, what the hell's a 24-hour club? So, in case they don't know, why don't you give them? I know it started in 1969. But give them a little background on what the 24-hour club is.
Okay. We found out 2.5 years ago that our actual founder is Lee Tillman.
Okay.
Thought it was someone else. Fortunately, God provided the answer right before we had our big 50th birthday party.
Right.
He came, and he was in recovery, and he was 12-stepping a man one night, late at night, and they came in. They said, it's time to go. We have to lock the door. And he said, I can't leave. This man needs help. So he got mad because they locked the door, and he said, I'm not putting up with this. I'm going to found my own group, and it was Dallas 24-Hour Club.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's cool.
So it grew from there into being a residential. And then I think in 1980s, late 80s, we became a nonprofit and really became a structured organization. So that we housed residents, and then we had a Ross Avenue group that actually ran the different recovery meetings. And so we have that same model today in our new building. But it grew progressively of being more residential and helping people that were homeless.
And it kind of started, like you said, like a guy just wanted help and started talking, and he goes, well, I am going to have the keys to this building. And then, so are y'all technically, this is always a question, besides getting the funny questions like, like what time or what kind of equipment do y'all have, like workout gear,
Right.
or what time do y'all stop serving alcohol, stuff like that. Okay, so y'all are 24 hours, correct? Like if somebody is transient or homeless, usually addicted, they can come and knock on the door, or how does that work?
Well, first, let me just say our mission, real succinctly, is to provide safe, sober, transitional living for homeless men and women who are seeking a brand new life away from drugs and alcohol. So that tells you a lot right there. So we have 24-hour awake staff. Someone can knock on the door. We lock our doors at 10. Someone can knock on the door, and we will either help them come in and they can hang out, or we'll most likely what we do is we find other resources where they can go that are open, at night. But yes, I think that, the most important thing is that we're here to help.
Right. Yeah. And you will not turn anybody away and,
Right.
and assist anybody you can. So, I know that Val, you have experience here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience, like how you,
Sure.
how you heard about it, and then what your experience was.
And then I'll let Marsha tell her experience of what
Yeah.
her view was.
Right. There's two sides
There's
to the
two
story.
sides to the
Okay.
story.
Have very vivid memories of her.
Okay. All right.
So basically, I just want to announce that obviously I've been clean and sober since May 13th, 2015. And so at that time, in between that time when I stopped drinking and using, I did go to, Homeward Bound. I heard
And
about
Homeward Bound is a facility.
Homeward Bound is a free Detox as well as rehab.
Okay.
So you can
inpatient.
inpatient. I believe it's 30 days. I'm not sure if it's
they
45
have a men
now.
and women's 30
men and
days.
women, right?
Okay.
Very, very good for me and what I needed. But
Sure.
Either way, I heard of the 24-hour club from, well, as you're starting to talk about your treatment plan and where you're going to go, some of the recovery coaches mentioned it. I did not want to go there.
Yeah.
I'll just point that out because it didn't really sound like, I didn't really understand it. First of all, I didn't understand why I needed a shelter. I'm like, I have places to go. I mean, there were sober living places that were really nice. I had heard that like Oxford House was really nice. They had Rick Holmes, it's like a girls club, hanging out with chicks all the time. I'm like, that's what I need to be, 24-hour club seems a little different. But unfortunately, I did a couple interviews with Oxford and they didn't accept me. So my ego was super bruised about that.
Right.
The girls club doesn't want me. And
Right. I
I'm
guess
Val
I
the
was
gal.
right. Yeah. So no, it was very limited space, and I'm sure they have the reason. So it was perfect though, because eventually, as I started to get closer to my discharge date, I had went and chose the 24-hour club because, and the only reason is for that, and I say this too, you don't necessarily have to completely be homeless. Like, you can have some places to go, but if you want to have structured sobriety with accountability, I think that the 24-hour club was the perfect fit for me. So I ultimately chose it out of lack of options, and I did.
Well, when you say you chose it, what does that look like? Obviously because Oxford has the interview process and things like that. Does 24-hour
so
club
what
have something
that
similar?
looked like was I got out of rehab and I called.
Oh, okay. So there's not,
very simple.
yeah, there's not like a huge process to it.
It didn't, no, not at that point. It was, I don't know that it is any different, but I just put a call in and I said, hey, I just got out of Homeward Bound and I need to come over there. This is my sobriety date and I want to be sober. And they told me to go right away. They told me to show up. And they didn't really talk about cost at that point. They just said, come. Are you able to pass a drug test? And I said, of course. So I showed up to the 24-hour club. But it was very, in my experience, like I was just, I don't know. I just was, it was a different look than what I had in mind. I thought like it was going to be like, I don't know. I thought it was going to be more like a building like it is now today.
Yeah,
but back then it was a house, like a big, huge house.
Yeah.
And the floors were creaking and like, it was just, and there was like all these people there, but they were talking and they were friendly and it was a good vibe people wise, but they were scary too because there was all these people with all these tattoos and I'm like, oh my God, I mean, I'm probably going to get like killed here, which later we became best friends. And so it's fine. But, so ultimately I just had to fill out some paperwork, provide an ID. I think I had to put down $14. It might've been more than that. At that first point, and then they're like, okay, well, you have to pay week by week, and of course I worked that out. But yeah, it was, and then later is what the fun part is, because, or for me, and that's what I get excited about, is the fact that you did have those women. It was a 14 bed at that point, and there was a house mom as well. And you had the women there that were doing the exact same thing you were doing. Yeah. And that for me was that I built lifelong friendships. I just talked to a girl yesterday that we were together on that very first day. We showed up together, or sorry, she came like 2 days before me, but she had a great story too. But either way, like we ended up connecting and we're still friends today, and she's still sober.
Well, and I love how you kind of basically pointed out that community aspect of recovery.
Yes.
And I love that because I think that's paramount in anybody having, I mean, people can do it on their own. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, having a bunch of people behind you and a community behind you definitely helps.
Like-minded people. And
I definitely didn't know what I was signing up for, that's for sure, because right away on that first talk, they're like, you have to have a sponsor within X amount of days, and we're going to call them and we're going to check on them, and that does depend on your eligibility to continue to stay here.
Right.
And so that was awesome. Also scary, but then now it was awesome because it held me accountable to making sure I was doing that. And of course, there was a strict schedule about I have to be at certain meetings. I have a curfew.
Sure.
I did hold a job, and I was able to go to my job, but then make sure that I was staying accountable to their roles and things. But yeah, no, it was amazing. I always say just like a life-changing experience, really.
Well, and I think that's great. I mean, I love it because I hear a lot of those stories, including your husband, Dan, is a product. And then a friend of mine, Will Beast Mode, we'll call him.
Love him.
Yeah. But he talks highly of you, and he said,
I remember his first day.
He said to say hi. He's the intentional poster child for the 24-hour. I'm at the Galleria, and I'm like, hey, bro, there's your picture right there, and it's like a newly sober Will. I love it. But
I love it.
But like, so okay, does the 24-hour? Do y'all offer detox, or do y'all defer to that?
No, we don't.
Okay.
So here, our current way we handle things, which is a little bit different when Val came in, is that you can be test positive for drugs and alcohol.
Okay.
On your first, if your first time, if you come back second time,
Sure.
no,
Right.
because we're not, trying to enable you.
Right.
So we do when we do the testing, we can on alcohol, we can tell this person needs detox. On drugs, it's not so you can't tell the level.
Oh yeah.
So then it becomes a visual and just seeing how people are handling themselves. If can they walk? So we have really strong partnerships with Homeward Bound, with Turtle Creek, lots of the hospitals. So we will refer over, and then they cross-refer back to us once that person is stable.
Okay.
And that's really important because we're not really equipped. Well, we're not equipped to detox, and we're not a medical
Yeah,
facility.
you do not have medical staff
Right.
on.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think the beauty of the 2-4 is that what we've built over these last 4 years particularly is those strong partnerships, whether they be getting an ID or getting your birth certificate or getting you some mental health support, getting medical support. We can sit down with you, go through our extensive list and listen to what your needs are and then connect you in. So we are sort of the hub. We've got spokes out there now where we can connect people and people that we trust.
Right.
Because we're not just going to send you
Sure.
to anybody.
Right. I heard about this place, and we're gonna go ahead and send you
Yeah.
everything. Give it a try.
Yeah.
Let us know how it is.
Let us know how that works.
So, out of curiosity, I want to ask Marcia what her view on me coming over was.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's hear
We just have
this.
to make
Yeah.
this fun.
Well, I'll never forget it. I walked
Okay.
outside and up rolls this Mercedes
Okay.
with this beautiful woman in it,
All right.
Valerie.
Sure.
and a friend,
Okay.
Yeah.
Miss C. And I thought, wait a minute, they've got the wrong place. They
Yeah.
don't-
Right.
We don't have Mercedes in our parking lot. We have hardly anybody even has a car.
Right.
So she gets out, and I'm thinking, she's getting ready to come in and be a resident. And I thought, she'll be here about a nanosecond.
Yeah,
Right.
an hour. maybe.
At that time, the building was falling down. It was over 100 years old.
Uh-huh.
And all the wonderful spirit, like you've talked about, of recovery and peer support, all those things were alive and well. The building was not alive and well.
Right.
So we had the dreaded bed bugs. We had plaster ceilings that were falling down. We had plumbing problems. But it was a beautiful, beautiful place. And a lot of people, when we tore it down, were very unhappy about that. They
Right.
felt like the spirit of the 2-4 would die, and it didn't.
right.
It didn't. So, yes, Valerie was a very big surprise, a very pleasant big surprise.
Right.
Because she bore down
Uh-huh.
and she started working the steps, and she actually became a leader in the house and became towards the end, the resident staff liaison for the women, which was such a blessing because we could trust her. We knew that she was doing the deal. We knew that she was shepherding the women. And that's the kind of person we wanted to have as our liaison to the women.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So she did a good job.
She did a great job.
She did a good job and got hired. As I'm looking, I'm trying to look. I should have prepped for the show, but I'm looking at. Was it a White House?
It was stucco, and it had a red, tile roof.
Oh, okay, yeah. I see it here.
This will tell you how bad a shape it was in. When they came with a bulldozer, it literally took 45 minutes to knock it down.
Whoa.
Hey, I was gonna say it took a couple of guys leaning
Yeah.
against the
Yeah.
building to like.
No, it was bad. And 2 weeks before we closed, in the meeting room, which was also the Phase 1 men's bedroom, we had the tables in the center of the room, and a possum fell down onto the table.
Oh my God!
Whoa.
No lie. The next day, they called me at 8 o'clock at night, and they said the lights were on fire in that room. I'm sure the
Electrical, it
this
just
little
shorted
dude,
or something.
messed up. So we called the guy that was going to do all the electrical work, the huge company, Walker Engineering, and I called the guy at home, and I said, I need your help. Please send somebody out tomorrow. Well, they came, and they said, you all are so far out of code, we can't.
Can't even touch it.
We can't touch it. We'll get in
there's
trouble. And
no
I said, look, we're
resurrection.
closing in 2 weeks. We've got. So they fixed it, and then we were able to
All right.
get by.
That's great. So, and then I noticed I was on the website. I'm gonna, as I'm doing my internet stuff over here, I'm gonna send Brett a picture so he can post it
That'd be
of the old spot. But I know that y'all have a lot of chef presence in the community,
We do.
and I notice also I want to give your website a quick plug, real quick, and that would be Dallas24hourclub.org. Right? Correct?
Yes.
So that is Dallas and then 24, the number, and then ourclub.org. And you can actually go there. And I see at the top, it says, there's a little about section. And then there's also the steak night. And then I see cooking at home and cookbook. So tell me how that all ties in with what you have going on now.
Okay. So dial back to 2014. I came in.
And then that's when you came
I came in.
right?
I came in as interim executive director, and then eventually in 3 months, they hired me. Not because my husband was happy about that, I'll just say. I was, as the interim, I was coming home later and later every night. And he said, can you please tell me what's going on? And I said, I have fallen in love with the residents. He went, wait a minute. They're homeless. They're not good people. Wrong.
Yeah.
You're in a horrible building. You're in a horrible part of town, which now it's so much more, it's been regentrified, that it's not like it used to be. But it was not a great place. I mean, we laughed. We had a cat cemetery in the back. We had
Whoa.
It was
Stephen
rough.
King.
Yeah.
going around, yeah.
it was rough. I mean, truly, it was rough. But you know what? It didn't matter to me because I saw the value of the people there that were really struggling and wanting to get well.
Mm-hmm.
And that was important to me. So there were a lot of my friends that I would not take down there.
Mm-hmm.
And I had
Yeah.
a broken ankle, and I had to have somebody take me to work every day and bring me home. And I thought, I'll select only certain people.
people,
So I did not bring any bed bugs home, so that was good. But
Right.
anyway, my sweet husband just was so concerned, and finally, really and truly, one night they asked me to be the permanent person, and
Mm-hmm.
he just was very unhappy about that, and we kind of fussed about it, went to bed, and the next morning he woke up and he said, you know what, the Lord told me you have to do this.
Right here.
So,
I think
Oh,
here's
wow.
we
Yeah.
have the is that
That's it.
that's it.
well, on those lights, it looks a lot better.
It was Christmas. We kind of
we
tried
were-
to make it look festive.
Well, actually, we had our first chef event
Right.
there. We have the founder of the Dallas AllStar Chef Classic lived at the 2-4 twice, Terry Kranz, and
Right.
he was helping me. He was not on the board at that time, and we were trying. We did not have a database. We did not have.
Oh.
We did not have a list of funders.
Okay.
We did not have any technology. We had never held a fundraiser, and we had no money.
Oh wow.
Literally, we had
Yeah.
no money. We were having to let go of staff. It was pretty rough.
Sure.
So he said, well, let's have, get the chefs come over here and do a tasting. And we did it in the parking lot. We did
Right.
not let anybody inside the building. And we had some of the top
Just
chefs in Dallas.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So Matt McAllister, Stephen Piles, John Tezar. I mean, 8 of the top chef, Sharon Van Meter, Janice Provost. 8 of them came, and it was the most glorious evening.
That's really cool.
It was like being in Disneyland, even though that doesn't look like Disneyland, but it felt
Well,
that
hey,
way.
Brett, you can actually pull up the website if you want to on the website, and then just tap on you want him to hit on the cooking or no, the steak night, or which one?
No, cooking at home.
Cooking at home. Okay. So on the cooking at home, meet the chefs. Boom. I like it.
Right. So we developed a very strong partnership with chefs from all over Dallas, and they were like year after year. The event grew. In 2019, we had 800 people.
Mm-hmm.
We were in a fantastic
was
place.
beautiful.
It was beautiful. So, you know that we made a lot of money. And
Wow.
we couldn't believe it. We I think we raised over almost $700,000.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so then the sky fell in 2020, and we couldn't have an in-person event.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
our communications director, Adrian, said, well, why don't we do a cookbook? And we all were on a Zoom call thinking,
Mm-hmm.
okay, how do we do that? Well, Cynthia Smoot with Gangway Advertising, we called her.
Right.
We have her as our consultant, and she said, why don't you call Hamilton Sneed of HAS Events?
Mm-hmm.
Called him. This was his sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
He did all the production of the book, which was great. We just went out and but we raised the money, and we raised over $600,000 in a really
Wow.
difficult time.
Sure.
And we did another cookbook this year, and we've raised over $710,000 so far. The thing that is important to tell you is that over 68 cents of every dollar goes to our residents,
Sure.
which is amazing.
That is.
Right. Yeah.
Just another little statistic is that this year, 6.68% are the amount of the expenses compared to what we've raised.
Right.
So we have an unbelievable way of raising money and making sure that, you know, every penny is spent that goes back to the residents as much as we can.
Sure.
Because we're in a 14,000 square foot building.
Oh, yeah. And I was going to talk about that, and that's the Tillman House now?
No.
Oh,
the,
okay.
The new 2-4 was built in 2018.
Is it on the website somewhere where
Mhm, yeah.
Brett can pull it up? Here, let's
Maybe under about.
Let's just navigate
Yeah,
to
there
it.
you go.
Where do you
But these chefs are amazing. just
Under
wanted to say.
about, try about.
or just go to there you go.
Yeah.
And then
I would say
do
do about the 2-4.
okay.
It
There we
should
go.
have, there you go.
Boom! Look at that.
Wow.
Gorgeous.
That is completely different.
The same sign, though.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
It actually looks safe.
It is. It is
Yeah.
a beautiful, safe space that
Now, how many residents does this hold?
92.
Oh wow.
92.
Okay.
Okay.
And
yeah.
then we.
And it's mixed, right?
yes,
Men and women.
Well, and it's funny because I've only been to the new one because I was like, man, this place is nice. Because I've heard all years and years of stuff about the 2-4, and I'm like,
Right.
I would stay here.
It's still pretty rough. I mean,
Yeah,
sure.
sure.
And the difference in sober living, most of them do not include having the public come in.
Sure.
So we welcome the public. They can come to all of our 37 meetings a week that we have on-site recovery.
I love that. Yeah,
Yes.
y'all host all 12-step
Yes.
recovery,
Yes.
and do you smart recovery or just any type of recovery? You encourage it there, or
And we
whatever.
Yeah, we do.
Whatever,
I mean,
yeah.
we evaluate, and the
Okay.
Ross Avenue Group, actually operates it, but we are partners with that.
Okay.
So the public can come in. We have a full size restaurant, open 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Hubcap
The
Cafe,
Hubcap, yeah.
which I have actually eaten at, and it's delicious.
Thank you.
That's what I was
and,
about.
and very affordable.
Right.
What were you
Yeah.
gonna
Well,
say?
I was gonna say. So the program, when they're at the 2-4, does this include? Obviously, they pay from week to week for the housing. Does that, since you guys have that there, the kitchen and things like that, did they get fed and all of these
Yes.
things, and everything is all a part of it?
So just taking you through an intake, someone comes in, we do a drug test, we do a background check. There's a few things that would eliminate you from staying there,
You said background check. I was like,
well, aggravated felony with a deadly weapon. I mean, not many
okay,
people
sure.
have that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very, very rare that
Right.
we can't take someone. And then we do our job of making sure they have a safe place to go to
right.
that would accept them with that
Yeah, sure.
particular background. So they come in, we go through all the rules and talk about the objectives. We ask them to make a 30-day commitment. And then we have, we clothe them, we feed them for 30 days for free. We have linens and toiletries all throughout your stay at the 2-4. The blue mat is actually black now.
Okay.
And it is about that thick.
Oh, okay.
It's nice. And
Right.
then you have sheets and,
and
all
it's
that.
Tempur-Pedic now.
Well, sort
Right,
of.
right.
I mean, it's a lot better than being outside on the ground.
Hey, yeah, right, for sure.
We had a guy that came in the other day, and he said that he slept outside next to a dumpster just before he came in, just to make sure he understood how important it was to come in.
Oh yeah, so he would
Wow.
appreciate
Yeah,
it a little
that's
more, and
huge.
I
just
know, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. So anyway, that's the basic services that we provide. Once you're there a few days, then you kind of are getting stabilized. We want you to go out and look for a job. We're not a lockdown facility. You can have your phone, you can have your car, but we have certain objectives for them to
Right.
really help take care of the house. We go into 30 meetings in 30
start
days.
start
Mhm.
contributing
Right.
and
Going out and
making
doing
sure
service.
they're growing. Yeah.
Right.
And then, so as you progress through the program, do you like phase up to different levels of like
Yes.
responsibility and things like that?
Right.
Okay.
So then once you get a job and you can, we run a credit. You can come in with absolutely no money. And they can pay those back fees, and then they can pay a week ahead. Then they can go to a bedroom. And we have really nice bedrooms, quality
Is there any
furniture.
shots of the bedroom on the website that you know of?
I didn't
Maybe
get
we
prepared
didn't
for
even
this. You didn't ask me.
didn't even navigate. But-
They are nice though. Are they bunk beds or two beds?
We have bunk beds.
Yeah.
Right, they're really quality
Okay.
furniture.
It's
All
way
right.
better than what they had.
Sure.
Futon. You slept
Like,
on
we
a
had a
Oh.
futon that had boards in the middle, like
Oh,
basically,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got to move phase up to like bunk beds, which were
Uh-huh.
comfortable.
Right.
But we had a shower curtain to block the bathroom. So
right. Oh, nice.
yeah, it was right there, right in the middle. So fun times.
Yeah, for sure. For
Good
sure.
memories.
Good memories.
Right.
That's why we are still so close today, I think.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So you mentioned the Tillman House.
Yeah.
One of my dreams, and it was a strong dream that I had, was that it's so hard when you graduate from the 2-4 that to find a place that's affordable, that's close by, was just not available. So they had to move to the suburbs. Well, the suburbs don't have public transportation.
Yeah.
So guess what? They couldn't get to a meeting, they couldn't get to work, relapse. So
Sure.
the goal was, could we find an apartment complex that was close by that we could have staff on site and still, shepherd them, but let them learn how to live more independently.
Right.
And by God's grace, April of 2020, right in the height of everything,
Sure.
a really close friend of mine called and said, I heard you say that one of your dreams was to have an apartment complex, and I am on the board of Reconciliation Outreach, and we are in a position where we have to sell an apartment complex 2 blocks away from you.
Wow.
And we only want to sell it to you. The developers are swarming. We know you'll keep it as affordable, housing.
Right.
So we closed November 17th of 2020. We
That's
opened
amazing.
March 1st, had to do some renovation.
Sure.
We have 41 beds there, and we're, basically full. We have men and women. We have a female and male resident staff liaison, which is the model we have at the 2-4.
Right.
Then we have a full-time program manager.
Okay. And then how long are they allowed to stay?
Yeah.
I want to know the length of program and.
Now you can say only 6 months at the 2-4, which we used to have it longer. But what we found is that they were ready to move on, but they needed more support. That's Tillman House. But they can stay a year there. So we really want to move them because there's so many people beating down the door that are homeless, and they need a place to come.
Oh yeah.
So we think this model, we are seeing fantastic results from having now this new footprint.
Right.
We've had hardly any relapses, and those that have, I think probably 95% of them have come back through the 2-4 and are now moving back into Tillman.
Wow.
So you're seeing that the seed was planted in a strong way. They had a lot of growth, and we have, so now we're just getting ready to have people graduate from Tillman, and we are putting into place some resident life skill training programs so that they can learn to live independently, even more so.
Put them in touch with Cornbread Hustle.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Right. Shout out.
Yeah. So I'm. It's one of the things that pleases me the most is to see the development, how really miracles have happened.
Oh yeah.
So in this
Huge.
this Tillman House, I mean, this is super cool. But when in the Tillman House, so is it shared living still? So like there's multiple people per apartment?
Yes.
Okay. And so it's like, I mean, it's basically like sober living, just a transition to get them through, and then they're free to come and go as they please and all of that.
Yes.
That's really cool.
It is, and they have to go to meetings, and they have house meetings, They have service commitments. They have to go over within 72 hours of arriving at Tillman, going over the 2-4 and finding a newcomer and being their mentor and possibly a sponsor.
Okay.
They also help with all of our events. I mean, we just have, it's a wonderful community. That's really our goal, is to have community.
Absolutely.
At both places, but particularly at Tillman, where we want them to learn, how to depend on each other, but be independent.
Yeah.
Now, I automatically, I'm seeing all this growth, and then I start going, what about a franchise?
Well, hey, you know
Seriously.
what? One of the things that we're doing is doing some analytics that can prove out that our model is working
Okay.
with the Center for Nonprofit Management. And
Uh-huh.
our goal is to give our program away.
I would
We
love
don't want to
that.
sell it. We want to give it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
would love to see 24-hour club, boom, Oklahoma, 24-hour
right.
club everywhere. Yeah.
It should, because now
I
I think
agree.
we have I don't know of anybody else, and I'm not saying there isn't. I just don't know of this model that we have that is working.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I like that it's also inclusive of men and women, because it's like it's kind of like, okay, well, if you're a guy, go here, Turtle Creek, or girl, go to Nexus, Maggie's house, that kind of thing. But I love that y'all are still, all inclusive. So just anybody in need, and y'all are a resource broker for them and
Right.
help them out. So I love that. And I love the fact that you're kind of a surrogate mother to everybody. I can
She
see her.
is. I am.
Right? Right? Well, I mean, and that's what I wanted to get to was also, what made you want to get involved with this? I know we touched on it prior to the show, but you actually had personal experience. So
Correct. I still, it's a God thing. I had a consulting company and did a lot of nonprofit work, and my husband sent me an email from his president asking for a consultant to help with a small organization's capital campaign. And so they hired me. That was November of 13, and then there was an unexpected absence of an executive director. And, the story is they hired me temporarily and then permanently. They had never had anybody in leadership that wasn't in recovery on the addiction side.
sure.
So I had a personal experience. We had a son that had been really struggling with addiction and mental illness his whole life, the whole life with a mental illness.
Right.
And so in 2006, the wheels were coming off. And in 2007, I looked in the mirror in March of 2007 and said, you know what, I think my son is going to die, but I know that I'm going to die if I don't go get help.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I dragged myself into the Al-Anon room, and anybody that goes there, their first thought and hope is that everybody in that room is going to fix my kiddo,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or fix my husband, or fix my wife, or whomever. That's not what it's about. It's learning how to gain tools so that you're not being codependent and enabling him,
Right.
and also how do you survive? How do you handle yourself so that you can move forward? We work the 12 steps just like you do.
Yeah.
And thank God, because if I didn't have the 12 steps even today, I'd be in the tank. And I have a sponsor who I talk to many times a week, depending on what's going on. She is fully aware of where I am, what I'm doing, how I'm doing, what my needs are, whether they're at home or at the 2-4. And that's the beauty of, I think, recovery, is that you really, if you work the steps and you have accountability with a sponsor, you have a really good chance of making it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I agree. And like you were saying, I mean, basically you're learning to like I like to always say is adding tools to the toolbox, and also or building your insurance policy, and having that network and somebody that you can actually talk to that understands and has been there and had experience. So I applaud that, and I because some people would go, oh, well, she doesn't look like an addict. Well, she's not. So there you go.
Yeah.
Well, but I have my own issues,
Sure.
Don't we all?
Yeah. So it was, I did not have a warm welcome, but I think over time it became evident that I really cared about them, and that I understood the 12 steps. I understood, the importance of them. So people like Valerie, who are such a huge success, makes my heart sing, because my son did not make it. We lost him in 2018.
Sorry to hear that.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you very much. But you know what happened during that period? I got the love and support that you cannot buy, you cannot create. It's because of where I worked. People like Valerie and Dan and hundreds of others
There were so many
embraced
moms.
me and made
Many.
me feel so loved and so supported. And
Yeah.
even today, I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of our conversation out in the lobby. You know, the grief is still there. It will never go
Oh,
away.
yeah.
But the love and support that I still get from those who went through the 2-4, those that are there today. And I get to tell my story for those who are at the 2-4 today because their first question is, where are you from? And I went,
Right.
well, I'm from Dallas. I go, no.
No,
What's your
no,
what's your drug?
What?
What's your drug of choice? I went.
Yeah, exactly.
So they don't really ask me that as much anymore because the word's out that she's an Al-Anon person.
Uh-huh.
But I get to share my experience
Sure.
and encourage them. So I don't do that every day.
Well, and you're great for them to see that like their family can also help in other ways too. So so they can get their family, because it's I think one of the best things that I've had in my recovery personally, like you said, is my family getting involved in that, because in the beginning, my mom would be like, well, why can't you just change? Why can't you just stop doing drugs? And she didn't quite understand. And then now that they've kind of been through like your situation of going to Al-Anon and meetings and talking to my therapist and having family counseling sessions and all that, it's done tremendous. I mean, our relationships have just changed. The whole dynamic of them have changed completely, right?
Yes.
And I think that's like a beautiful, beautiful thing, and it's like a necessary component.
Oh, yeah.
your-
I completely agree. And you said, getting involved. And I want to go to that section, Brett, if you can, on the website of
that was a perfect
the
segue.
Get Involved. Hey, I've been doing this for a while. You have to sometimes wake up the board op, though. I'm just kidding, Brett. I love you. But where it says Get Involved, buddy, next to meetings, right down below. There you go. So let's hit on Friends of the 2-4 and talk about.
Oh, there I am.
Talk about
Yeah.
this.
That's
Oh,
fine.
there you are. Yeah, nice. Did you approve of that picture?
I did.
Okay.
I always approve.
Okay, you got Val approval. But so tell us how people can get involved.
The Friends of the 2-4 are an organization that is not just alumni, but it's the basic core group is the alumni. And we have events, which are we do educational events, we do sober fun events. They come alongside of us to do events such as this Sunday. We are having a resident toy bazaar. Where, we've gotten over 200 gifts for children of all ages and genders. And we're putting them out, displaying them. I don't know if there's a picture of that at Christmas party that a couple of years ago.
Where would it be?
I
Do you
don't know.
know?
I
Somewhere.
didn't get prepared to bring
That's
my
o-
pictures.
It's okay. It's okay.
But it was one of my favorite things we've ever done because the residents come in and they can shop for their children or grandchildren.
That's
And
awesome.
they, I think we're going to have enough gifts that people can give more than one. But you heard stories, and this is what fuels me to continue what I do is the stories of what they're going through. They'll say, I haven't given my child a present in 10 years. Or I haven't been present in my child's life for a few years, and this is a way I can reconnect. And that's our goal. It's not just necessarily for Johnny to get a gift. It's for a connection to start happening, or if it's already happened, for it to continue to grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very stressful, I think, being newly sober and trying to get a Christmas list together for your child. I mean, I think that was probably, and that's something I've worked with other people that I've sponsored before, because it can be very, there's a lot of self-doubt there. I mean, it's a trusting, and it's a process, and just that you're able to do that with the newly sober moms and dads, like that's huge. That takes away a lot of stress and expectation, I think, because you're just giving it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is for, oh, good, thank you. It takes that out of our mind, because we're dealing with so much of just trying to keep on that path.
Yeah.
And then if somebody wants to, I know, because also, Brett, under the Get Involved, I know there's a tab for volunteering, correct? So what type of, if somebody wanted to volunteer their time, I guess they would just go to this part of the website, but what would that entail? What would you have them, you have them do?
We have a few options. We're not volunteer driven, which sometimes I regret that, but because we're sober living, that we do have, when we have events, we definitely need help on that. We have front desk. We love to have our front desk covered from 9 to 5.
Okay.
Because right now our safety officer comes in at 5, and he's at that desk the whole night. But it's nice to have someone there to greet and to direct. The other is the clothing closet that we have is always a wreck. We laugh because you get it all cleaned up, and then somebody comes in to shop for clothing and they mess it all up. So that's really an important part. We also, clothes that are donated is exceptionally wonderful. And then what we do is, because of trying to keep the building very clean and safe, we have a shed in the back that has a burn unit, we call it. And we take all of those clothing, and when a new person comes in, we take all their clothing and goods and put it out there to heat it to a degree where there would be no varmints.
Right. No, I get it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a safety measure, and we know a lot of people are copying that measure. So anyway, people can shop, and that makes them feel so good to have some
I do that to
clean
Dylan
clothes.
every time he comes in here. Yeah.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
Any lice checking or
Yeah.
One thing, Kelly, that I haven't had a chance to talk about is our staff.
Okay.
I think we have the premier staff, in my opinion.
Of course.
They almost all of them have been residents, which helps them. They are more attuned and able to, coach and encourage and give out consequences because they've been there before. And that is a beautiful thing. We don't hire them because they're alums. We hire them because they're excellent at their job. It's a very strong team-like environment. We have, weekly staff meetings. And what we do in those staff meetings, every single person goes around and shares what's happening in their job, what their challenges are, what does the next week look like, that week and the next week. What do we need to do to prepare?
Sure.
And it is just a really special time. All of our staff attend that.
Right. Yeah. And then let's,
wonderful.
of course, let's go back up to the top if we can, Brett. But I know that guy right there,
Yeah.
Tim Grigsby. Everybody, I actually came to him about being on the show, and I think he's a little camera shy. I think that's what it is. But he goes, well, usually Marcia does that, and I'm like, okay. Hey, I'll take Marcia. I'll take Marcia any day over you, Tim. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
Tim came into the 2-4 in 2012. When I got there in 2014, he was helping manage the office. And when I really became the permanent person, I said, I need you to swear that you'll never leave me. And he goes, I won't. Well, that lasted about 6 months. And he got another job offer to Patton House, which I was thrilled. It gave him a new opportunity for leadership and growth. And then in 2017 of December, when we were getting ready to open our new building, I looked at my husband and said, there's no way I can do everything I need to do. And he said, well, you need a COO. And I said, oh, well, I know exactly who that is.
Right.
That's amazing.
So I know. I called him, and I had to get the board to approve a brand new, another high-level leadership person. And they said, okay, well, we'll have him be the interim. And I thought, interim? You're going to be sorry if he leaves or doesn't accept the job for that. Well, he risked it and came on board. And in 6 weeks, they said, never mind. He is a jewel, and he knows that I think that about him, and I think that about every single person. You'll see April down there at the bottom left. I remember the day she came in. She's actually paralyzed, and in a wheelchair, and she was broken, and we had to discuss whether we would take her because some of her story didn't sound quite right. Well, we took a chance, and she was the best resident back there that we've ever had. And all the women were so challenged going, if she can do the chores, we can do the chores.
Oh, yeah. No, I love that.
So she was on disability, and when she started being our little marketing intern. And so she would sit in the office every day with us. And Briar, who is she's down below. She was she was promoted to the women's coordinator. And so we asked April if she would come on board and be our admin.
Okay.
Well, she grew like a beautiful rose flower. She blossomed and grew. She's now our development associate, and she's gone off of disability. She has her kids back. She has her own home.
Wow.
And
It's so crazy how you
it's
can just
amazing.
go down.
I know.
This
I mean,
is
I can tell you
beauty.
every story.
I mean,
Each
it's
little
all-
success story.
That's what 24
yeah.
Hour Club is, though.
Yeah, I
and
love
that's
it.
the magic of it.
Well, okay, so and then this is the important part. Obviously, y'all are you probably have reoccurring donors, but I'm sure individual donations help greatly.
Absolutely.
So if somebody wants to donate, what do you tell them to do? Where do you tell them to go?
Well, on the website it says donate now. Someplace I guess you'd have to go back
Right,
to the
yeah.
the homepage.
Oh, there it is.
Right.
Oh
right
yeah,
there.
right there. It's easy. We have you can use your credit card or you can mail a check in, but it just gives you different levels, and of course you can give any amount that you would like to.
Sure.
But yeah, it's one of the things that we have to do is continually
amazing.
grow new friends and new
Sure.
supporters. The beauty of what's happened over the last 7 years is that our foundation has gotten solid, not just in our home, but also with our community support, whether
Right.
Yeah.
whether it's individuals or foundations or corporate partners.
Okay.
One corporate partner I'd love to highlight is
Sure.
that when we opened the Tillman House, we didn't have any furniture, and we fully retrofitted every single apartment. Well, by some miracle, again, we called Nebraska Furniture Mart, and they became our corporate partner.
Wow.
They donated almost
amazing.
all of the furniture for us, and they had a designer dedicated just to our project so that they chose
They
all the
are-
right furniture. It is beautiful. It's very sturdy. So our people walk into a fully furnished, beautiful
Right.
apartment.
And so I have a question. So when people do like let's say if I'm looking for a place for a loved one, maybe somebody that's out there doing their thing like we have a tendency to do. But can somebody come in and kind of check out the facility if
sure.
they want to scope it out and see maybe what they want to kind of advise that loved one to do?
We have that happen routinely.
And do you have like a plan to or kind of a go-to to help somebody say, okay, hey, I've got my brother, he's living behind this dumpster over here. How can I get him over here, or what can we do? Do you have anything set up like that, or?
Well, this won't surprise you. Our plan and program is that they have to call us or they have to come
Yeah.
in.
Right.
Now, your loved one can come in with you, and we've had that.
Sure.
I mean, just last week that happened. But
It
we
has to
really,
be
It has to
voluntary.
be that
Yeah.
they want it and that they're willing.
Sure.
If if with our codependent family are saying, "Oh, come on, let's do this or that," that's not going to work. Or typically it doesn't work. We want someone that is so desperate that they really know they need help,
Right.
and
I
not
al-
so desperate that they're still living behind a dumpster. We want them
Sure.
to come in.
Right.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
always say that to my guys that I work with. I'm like, I can't make you want it, man.
Right.
I cannot make you want sobriety. You have to want it for yourself, and you have to want that way of life, and know that it's better, and you have to want what we have.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah,
Well, and I will say that as people ask me, "Well, tell us your story." My story didn't end up too well, but we had to get to the point where we said to our son, "We can no longer offer you support," and he didn't choose the right way to go. But I would say to any family that's out there struggling, do your very best. Start with some non-negotiables of what you will not allow your child or your husband or whomever to do. And then based on their behavior,
talking
That might change.
healthy boundaries.
right? But that
Yeah.
that made those. I mean, for us, our non-negotiables became very, very small, and eventually he even didn't choose to live within those small boundaries, and that is very painful. But you know what? It's you're causing your loved one to have a slow death if you just keep.
Oh yeah. If you-
Loving
yeah.
them to
Yes,
death,
yes.
not
Right.
loving
So,
them to life. Yeah.
But that's really hard, and I don't want that for anybody. What we had to go through, but that was the only way we could take care of ourselves too.
Yeah.
Well, I wanna thank you for coming out, and obviously thank you for doing what you do, because not always anybody that works in recovery is a hero to me. So
She's a hero.
Yeah.
We were at the 24 Hour Club as an alumni, like super blessed to have Marcia show her pretty face in our world,
Right.
and she has been lighting it up and lighting the way ever since. So we're super blessed. Every
Yeah.
single person that I know and I associate with, and I know that are still growing and going through the 2-4, that are about to go to the 2-4, she's just such a blessing to them. So I wanted
Right.
to say that too.
Hey, and I just really real quick wanted to hit our sponsor before we close out, but that is summersky.us. So that is www.summersky.us, 888-857-8857. Once again, that's 888-857-8857. And they are a lovely facility out in Stephenville, Texas, and they sponsor the show, and they're sponsoring the new show. And
Yeah.
we're happy, sad,
Happy,
but
sad.
last show here, but to new beginnings, my friend. You know.
And
But-
we got a pretty good view at the new place.
Oh yeah, it's a great view. Yeah, we should have brought that, but we're not prepared.
okay.
So that's how we roll. But is there anybody? I know you had those people, but anybody you two would like to shout out to? I always give the guest an opportunity to do that.
I will shout out to our staff,
Mm-hmm.
and I will
Okay.
shout out my wonderful husband, who's
There we
so
go.
supportive of me.
Okay.
I come home with a lot of stories.
Yeah, I bet.
He's
I
a
bet.
cool guy.
Well, I want to
I
know
like
when is the Marsha Williamson book coming out?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
That needs to
Right,
happen.
right.
That needs to happen. Definitely shout out to my husband, Dan Nybrand, and Knucklehead Recovery. He's doing some fun things with that, and
And
it's
he's
on-
working for Metro Care.
And he's working
Metro
for Metro
Services.
Relief.
I
Relief.
see. I need to get it
Yes.
right. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Bad.
but they're great. They're out doing homeless outreach today,
Okay.
so that is amazing.
Love that.
But last time I was on the show, my mom said I need to put a shout out to her next
Hi,
time. So,
Mom.
Mom, love you.
Shout out, Mom.
And then, of course, all of our crazy kids. So that's it for us.
Cool.
All right.
Well, thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it so much. I love what you do. And I want to put this out there in the ether. Somebody contact Marsha and make this a national thing. I
Oh,
want to see
yes,
it.
please.
I
Yeah,
want to
that would be
see
amazing.
I want to see this model national.
I do
so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So but Dylan, and I know you've got a pregnant fiance
Wait,
at
I don't
home.
know
You
if
probably
we're
want
supposed to say that on there.
Yeah, oh no.
That's okay.
no.
Yeah, what he said. Hi, baby.
Hey. Am I stepping on that, dude?
No, it's okay.
Is that still in
No. Well, I
in
don't-
secret?
I don't know.
Nobody's watching.
Yeah. It'll be
It's all
okay.
good. They've already tuned
Just our
out.
1,000 followers or something.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, but yeah, we'll be we have some good guests coming up in the beginning of next year. But once again, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for
Absolutely.
doing what you do, Brett. If you could play us out there, brother, for the last
Happy holidays,
time.
y'all.
Thanks,
Merry
Brett.
Christmas.
Everybody have a great holiday and be safe out there. If you need some help, please go to the 24-hour club. They are there to help. They are a resource. And remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety, because if there was, we would all take too many.
See you next year.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Cool. Well.
Drop all that.